welcome. This is going to be the Manufacturing Month Roundtable discussion. We're going to meet the manufacturers. We're going to take a few virtual plant tours of some key businesses within our region. So those of you who aren't familiar with me, my name is Jeff Poirier, and I'll be moderating today's discussion as the president of the board for the Southwest Regional Manufacturing Association, or you'll hear the SRMA as short. So I'd like to thank everyone who's attending this free virtual webinar. Supporting the manufacturing sector in Southwest Florida is very important, so we're glad you could make it. During the event, if you have to address myself or any of the panelists that are speaking, there's a chat feature through Zoom. So I'll try to keep an eye out on that feature to see if there's any pop-ups. And I may not get to your questions until the end, but we'll try to address all that we see. So if you have other questions or you want to sponsor a future event, join the SRMA, or you're just looking for some general outreach to the group for questions, you can email us at info@srma.net. You can see they're over here to my side, one of the sides. And so is our website. So you can join the organization through the website, or you can email us or give us a call as well. So we'd love to hear feedback as well too. So going through this pandemic has been difficult for some, great for others for some reason. And we'd love to hear your feedback, whether it's good or bad. It'll help us kind of create the resources, get the tools, and develop the skills within the sector that we need to make manufacturing thrive. So it's even more important during recent events to ensure our region has a diverse workforce and industry. So some, like I mentioned, have been booming, some faltering. And today we want to kind of get an idea how some of these businesses have made it through. And we're going to go through some videos. So we know that our industry down here, we have some retirement, some construction, some tourism, but there are other segments and some great manufacturing businesses in this area. And we are attractive to some with our tropical climate and potentially our cheap outsourced shipping. So Southwest Florida can be a region and a hub for manufacturing, and that's what we want to develop, and that's the way we want to move. So we appreciate everything you guys do, any sponsorships or memberships, and we'll continue on. So it's also one of the reasons we look to have a diverse board of manufacturers or board of directors here for the Manufacturing Association. Having a diverse group of people that are affiliated with the government, educational and universities, manufacturers, it gives us broad perspective, and it gives us the resources and tools to pivot or move or do what we need to as a community, not just solely manufacturers. So we've all been, impacted by this pandemic. So some of today's discussions and questions will revolve around how companies have pivoted and how they've changed what they typically do to make up for maybe a downfall or, maybe an improvement in the help to produce PPE or something locally within the community. So hopefully we can learn a thing regardless of their outcome. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question to each of the panelists, and then we're going to start with the Arthrex video. And our panelists for Arthrex are going to be Jimmy Dascani and Michael Koszewnik. Then we're going to ask a second round of questions or a question, and then we're going to move on to Bill Daubmann from My Shower Door and D3 Glass, who has a video for us to watch. And then we'll wrap up with JoAnn Elardo from Wicked Dolphin. And unfortunately today, Henrik from Nortec could not make it, so that part will be off. But let's start with a question here. Tell us a little bit about your business and why you or your company selected Southwest Florida for manufacturing. So we'll start with Arthrex, Jimmy and Mike. If you guys can give us a little bit of info on Southwest Florida. Why are you down here? What's going on?
Yeah, Jeff, thank you, and hello to all the participants today. So initially, it was the climate that brought Arthrex to Southwest Florida. Our company was actually started in Germany for the first 10 years, and the last 30 years have been here in Southwest Florida after a short stint in Burlington, Vermont. It was just too cold there. And then over the years, we outsourced a lot, and the decision was made to build manufacturing here in Southwest Florida and develop the workforce and start working with the technical schools and the colleges and universities and start to really work on developing that, that workforce early on. And so it started out, based on the climate, which we all love here. And then it became, hey, listen, we have credible people here in Southwest Florida. And we eventually built manufacturing here in Naples, and then eventually out in Ave Maria, Florida. So it's a combination of that, access to develop the workforce, climate, and of course, people. So Mike, anything to add to that?
No, that's pretty much it. The manufacturing side has grown exponentially since I started here. I mean, we were under 1,000 people, and now we're way over that.
All right, Bill, same question. Why are you down here? What's your story in your business?
Maybe a common theme. Same thing. I'm from Western Massachusetts and started the shower door business in Massachusetts, had it for 15 years. And my wife took a fall on the ice with some snow covering and said, that's it, we're moving to Florida. Came down here in 2003 with just the original 3 family members, myself, my wife, and one son. We sold the business up north, and the other son, Keith, stayed behind to help the new owners transition. Once that happened, he moved down, and the 4 of us started in our North Naples store. That was in 2003, and here we are in 2020. We have 9 My Shower Door stores throughout the state. We have D3 glass, so we vertically grew and started our own manufacturing because we were bringing in glass from out of state. And we absolutely love Southwest Florida. We love the weather, we love the workforce, we love the logistics of getting around as a regional manufacturer. Our highway system is great. We can get to the southeast part of Florida, but yet we can also get up to the northeast part of Florida relatively easy. So we've continued to grow, and we're going to be opening our 9th store, which is over on the East Coast at Boca Raton in about 3 weeks. So we're up to 121 employees as of yesterday.
Wow, congrats. I will back that up. Once you're down here, it's easy to stay. That's the easy part. So we don't have JoAnn on at this point. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into the first presentation. Michael and Jimmy will be giving a presentation on Arthrex, and then we'll move on after that. So I'm going to leave it up to you, Jimmy, and Mike. Tell us a little bit about Arthrex.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. And Bill, by the way, I'm doing a master bath remodel right now, so I'm going to be calling you, or at least one of your stores.
Fantastic.
So it's perfect timing on the connection here today. So
great.
So I wanted to share with you just a little bit of the history, and then Michael will get into some of the manufacturing specifics. Just have a couple short slides for everyone. This is our beautiful new educational campus that we just built here in Collier County in Naples. And we last year, pre-pandemic, hosted over 20,000 visitors globally here to Collier County. So an incredible educational presence here. If you can go to the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history so that our participants today actually understand what we do here. So we're the 5th largest orthopedic company in the world, and really started out with sports medicine, so doing soft tissue repairs. So we invent procedures and products to reattach soft tissue, tendons, ligaments to bone instead of just doing total joint replacements. And so we actually control over 56% of the market in sports medicine. So a lot of the professional team doctors in college and high school and Olympic docs are all, big Arthrex users. And so these are just some pictures here just to show you some illustrations of what we actually manufacture here in Southwest Florida for the world. And it expands way beyond just screws and anchors. We're doing orthobiologics, which is injecting platelet-rich plasma and bone marrow and what you might hear about with stem cells, things like that. We've invented operating room equipment here between Southwest Florida and one of our facilities in California. Next slide, please. And so really all began with our founder and president, Mr. Reinhold Schmieding, born and raised in Michigan, MSU Spartan. And but he spoke fluent German, so got his first job out of college and went to Germany and discovered that surgeons could see into the joints with a scope but had no instruments to do anything. So they still had to cut patients wide open. And so that was essentially his aha moment. He's not a surgeon by background. He has a degree in physiology, but that was really his moment. And this is where Arthrex began. He realized he was going to be a scientist and an inventor, and that was going to be his contribution to medicine and eventually a manufacturer. That's where it really all began. So he invented some of the first instruments that pioneered arthroscopic surgery as we know it today around the world. So here he was in a foreign country in an industry that didn't exist yet with no money. So I had to overcome all those obstacles. And after 10 years of certainly persevering through that, realized he had this great sense of patriotic duty to bring it back to the US. And so really formed our global headquarters here in Naples about 30 years ago now, just in Collier County. So we're really a 40-year-old company. But the big thing I want to really drive home here is we're manufacturing over 94% of our products in America, over 75% of the global supply right here in Southwest Florida in Ave Maria. And we'll show you a few pictures here in just a moment, but we quality control, we sterilize right here in our backyard. You know, a lot of our competitors will send sterilization outside the country and it comes back into the operating rooms and it's left the country. I mean, how do you even know it's sterile if you're the facility or the surgeon or the patient, right? So we're really proud of that, that we do it right here. Even on the FDA.gov website, there's 6 facilities shut down right now for ethylene oxide contamination in the environment. So really proud of our team here in Southwest Florida that we've been able to pull off an incredible manufacturing machine. Really proud of the workforce. And then what we really do that separates us from our competition is product and procedural innovation. So we pump out over 1,500 new products a year. So the speed and level of innovation is remarkable. And so about 150 or so of those are completely new products. The rest are enhancements to existing products, but nonetheless, no one can match that speed of innovation in our space. And then I mentioned medical education. So we have cadaver skills labs for the surgeons, the PAs, and the nurses to learn. So again, you were help contributing to the travel industry here and hospitality industry by bringing so many visitors in historically. And we are seeing signs of life. We've had several hundred visitors over the last few weeks visit us again. So wanted to encourage everyone. We're absolutely seeing people want to engage again. So next slide, please. So a couple pictures here on the left. This is an aerial of the facility that we built, I believe about 8 or 9 years ago, Mike, in Ave Maria.
Yeah.
So is that correct? Yeah. And so the front buildings, you can see those are the main manufacturing areas. And in the back and off to the far right here is a close-up. You can see our finishing facility or sterilization. So it's really impressive. We're almost at 2,100 employees at manufacturing right now. So we're really proud of that number. We launched another manufacturing facility in South Carolina. We're about 300 folks there, and we have 2 in California. So between Ave Maria, California, and South Carolina, this is where we get to that almost 95% made in America. So super proud of that. Next slide, please. This is a look inside. You can see it's spotless. You can almost eat off the floors in this place. You know, all the CNC machines and incredible technology. And we do provide tours, specifically with my role at Arthrex. I work with healthcare administrators and supply chain procurement executives. So we do provide tours to help them validate that made in America quality. We found out that facility tours are important, you know, for a certain audience. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to give you just a close-up here of an example of something we're manufacturing right here. So you can see the surgical trays, and this particular product got launched in the US here in the last year, but it's been out in Europe for almost 10 years. So this is an example of the high quality made in America, made in Southwest Florida that we're delivering to hospitals and surgery centers around the world. So couldn't be more proud of the quality and the people here that contribute to that. Next slide, please. And, you know, and this may come up in some of our commentary, but throughout the pandemic, we actually started manufacturing some protection hoods for EMS and, you know, paramedics and doctors in the ICUs that were intubating, putting people on the breathing machines. We actually started manufacturing some hoods to protect them from aerosolization of potential COVID. And then face shields on the right here. We were able to manufacture face shields very quickly with our equipment and 3D printers and our mills and lathes. So again, we were happy to donate that. In addition to what we donated here, we have about 2,700 people in our sales force out around the country, and they were dropping off unused PPE to hospitals and surgery centers, offloading nearly all of their volume to help support the hospitals and ASCs. Next slide, please. And I just wanted you also to be aware that we actually do have a state-of-the-art logistics center. So if anyone's been to the Sun Harvest orange juice factory, we're literally across the street here. This is our logistics center. And it's quite remarkable. We have automated voice picking, so our workers will talk into microphones and start picking and adjusting par levels, and we can ship things out the same day if we get the order by 7 p.m. For next day surgery. So really a just-in-time, kind of delivery and world-class logistics center right here in your backyard near the Fort Myers Airport. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike here to talk a little bit more about manufacturing specifically and how we're developing the workforce and some of the investments we've made.
Thanks, Jimmy. Good morning, everybody. So as you can see here that through the Great Place to Work, Arthrex has been voted the best company to work for, as well as the best workplaces in manufacturing. So it's quite an honor to receive these kinds of awards, and it means a lot as to how the different things that Reinhold provides for all of us participate and expand into the workplace. Next slide, please. Okay, so here at Arthrex, we also have a registered apprenticeship program registered through the Florida State Department of Education. And with that, we hire approximately 4 to 5 apprentices every year. And we do have affiliations with Immokalee Technical College. And once an apprentice has graduated successfully from the program, they even receive credits towards a college degree with our articulation agreement with Hodges University. The apprentices, are here for 4 years, and they go throughout the different departments, primarily concentrating more on the CNC area and learning all the different aspects of manufacturing within the Ave Maria facility. Okay, next slide. Like any other questions on the manufacturing, or Jimmy, anything more to add?
Well, I just wanted to say, we wanted to provide a quick overview so that you actually understand a little bit about who we are and what we actually do in the medical device and life sciences industry. And just to add to what Mike said, we're very keen on working with the technical schools. We actually have developed a few scholarship programs at the colleges to help support and create a pipeline even for our sales force beyond just manufacturing. So we're delighted to be able to do those things, and of course try to keep our workforce in Florida so that we don't train them and put them through these schools and then they leave us. So that's a big deal for us here in Southwest Florida, right? So and for us, it's really been about strategic partners along the way here. And I think we'll get into a little more of that dialogue in some of the questions here. So that's all we had today, just to give you a quick overview, and certainly happy to take questions through the chat box.
So at this point, if anyone has any questions, I've got one that popped up. Where do you get your raw materials, and how has this affected your supply chain at this point?
Yeah, great question. I'll take a first stab at it, Mike. Appreciate that, Bill and Jeff. So we're 96% domestically sourced with raw materials. We get about 4% from the UK and France. So we are true to the Made in America that we talk about. So it's not been easy. We didn't have any mass shortages. We weren't affected on the raw material side like some manufacturers with PPE and others, at least in the medical device. And we do have some stockpile and some reserves. Mike, anything to add to that?
No, on the manufacturing, I didn't notice any kind of slowdown due to any kind of material shortage.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jeff, I will say, to Bill's question, we never stopped manufacturing, by the way. We continue to build inventory, which can be risky, but we also believed, and we knew that surgeries account for about 70% of hospital revenue. So we knew at some point the governors had to lift these bans on surgeries and get back to business and cripple the healthcare system. And so we were confident enough that at some point it would open back up and we would start moving inventory. But we never stopped manufacturing.
Okay.
Never had furloughs and mass, and layoffs, things like that.
That's good to hear. Another question we have, you mentioned you do tours. Do they take place at the Ave Maria facility? When do you give tours? And can you give us a little bit of detail about how much someone might see your facility?
Yeah, so we, the communication will come in to us. Certainly, you're happy to connect with me directly, and I help coordinate the tours. Our corporate communications team. We have what we call an Arthrex experience team that books those and organizes it. And it can be our main campus here in Naples. It can be our logistics center in Fort Myers, or certainly it could be at Ave Maria. We take students through tours pre-COVID. We haven't had students here during COVID at the moment, but certainly small groups are acceptable right now. So happy to do that. And I see another question here about patents. Bill, you got all the great questions here this morning. Appreciate those. I'm gonna have to fire some back at you. We have over 1,500 patents and patents pending. So that was the question for our audience. How many patents do you hold? And so the amazing thing about that is most of them are organic. They're not through acquisition of companies. We've actually only had a handful of acquisitions over the last 30 years here, 40 years in total. So it's listening to the surgeons, understanding what their problems are that they face and how do we solve the problems. So it's really collaborating with the medical professionals and engineers and our machinists to develop these. So mostly all organic patents developed locally and with our surgeon consultants.
So what tools and resources are most important to you, within Southwest Florida for your business to, continue to grow and thrive? Is it education, workforce, local, regional government? What helps you guys the most?
Yeah, so probably a complex answer to some of those, but for us, education eventually drives sales, because when we expose surgeons specifically, and eventually the administrators then, to the technology, the science behind it, the evidence, white paper studies, things like that, that shows, just for example, if we can get their hands on some of our technology and show them that this reduces surgical steps, which in turn reduces operative time, which in turn reduces anesthesia risk, blood loss, all the things that patients are going to care about because they have the most to lose, right? They care about the outcome. So for us, education drives that. But as you all know on the call, none of that's possible without great operations, great manufacturing, high quality, support from the local county, and of course, even at the governor and senator levels for us. So all that really matters when we're deciding on expansion activities and all these things for us. And so it's really an incredible team contribution to eventually help us on the front end in the field. So.
Perfect. I have a little more specific question. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and to add to what Jimmy was saying, with Immokalee Technical College, they have the machining program out there. So we're constantly looking, to hire some of their students as well once they graduate.
Good to hear. So this question's a little bit more specific. What manufacturing ERP do you guys use? So that's an enterprise resource planning software.
That's a Michael question.
Honestly, I'm in the training area, so as far as the production and what kind of software and things of that sort that they use, I'm not aware of it.
All right, we'll have to find out and
it's a follow-up question.
Yeah, get it posted back out to Dave, who asked that. So Dave, we'll follow up with you on that one in particular.
All right, perfect. Another question coming from the chat. What countries do your surgical teams come from, and what is the consulting relationship that you have with them?
Yeah, so we do business in 152 countries now. So we're global. We're still private, by the way, to this day, which again is yeah, thumbs up, Bill, for sure. Which is amazing. 40 years later in this space, and we're really the largest privately held sports medicine orthopedic company in the world, 5th largest overall compared to the public companies. But so the surgical teams, I'm going to answer this in 2 different ways. So you have the surgeons that might be employees of hospitals, healthcare systems. Then you have independent groups that own their own practices and are partners in surgery centers. And so they come from all over the world to our global headquarters here in Southwest Florida, which we love. So it just depends on if they're employed or independent and with their big health system or ASCs. So we're in literally every facility out there, over 6,000 hospitals, over 6,000 surgery centers just in the US alone. So you know more than 12,000 of those facilities. And so now our sales force, we call them technology consultants, they support those surgical teams. So we put our team through really rigorous training, almost like a mini medical school for a few years, and they're experts in the room. So if something doesn't go right with the surgeon or the product, our folks are so well trained they can bail them out and walk them through, you know, what to do next. So but that's the relationship. We do employ 150 surgeons, PAs, physicians, and lab assistants here, mostly in Southwest Florida for all these training cadaver labs. So we do have our own in-house medical team as well. But the consultants that help us develop products, there's a process they go through. So there's a couple different levels of relationships here. So it just depends on what we need and what they need from us.
Perfect. I think another one in the chat from Nicholas. We have you seen any success with Dunbar's engineering program?
Michael?
If that's through the school, we do have, I have a team member who's on that advisory committee, but I'm not sure how involved they are with that.
Okay. All right. At this point, if there's any other questions, put them in now for Arthrex specifically, or we're going to move on. And hi, JoAnn. JoAnn has just joined us. Some technical difficulties, but she's here with us. So what we're doing, JoAnn, just to catch you up real quick, is we're going through a few questions, and then we're doing the video or the presentation for each panelist, and then we're going to go back and forth between questions and video. So you will be after Bill and my shower door.
Right.
All right. So appreciate you, Michael, Jimmy. Thank you guys for both answering those questions. What we're going to do at this point is we have another generic question. We're going to go around to the panelists, and then we're going to move on to the video that Bill has provided us for his company. So we're always talking about the pandemic. It's the new hottest thing. What was the greatest obstacles brought to you by the pandemic? And Arthrex, I'll let you guys go first. Jimmy or Mike?
Yeah, so so a big one for us was when they issued the mandate to stop elective surgeries around the country. And so when you know, that's our business. So when you stop elective surgeries, and we do have a trauma line, so trauma never stopped for us, and we saw an uptick there because those are obviously urgent surgeries. And so it wasn't until some of the orthopedic societies and other groups really got behind this and said, hold on a second. You know, patients delaying surgeries have a real ripple effect, especially ones with maybe some other chronic issues. And things like that. So eventually we fought through that, but that was the initial jolt. And then the secondary jolt, which was, almost as impactful, was, the travel advisories and the bans. And so because we're such an educator here, and we have hands-on cadaver lab, skills experiences, that completely stopped. And so our way of doing business and using education to help them adopt our technology and eventually purchase products completely stopped. So those two things in particular really impacted us for about 60 days.
And what did you guys do to make up the difference? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. And so the big thing for us was literally within weeks, we had to stand up a virtual education platform and go from just hands-on and kind of sticking to our formula and lifting up live streaming events and all these things. And so, we were scrambling, a lot of lessons learned. Most of them went off well. Sometimes we had tech issues and we crashed WebEx and had to go to a different platform. And so lots of things like that really challenged us. And then I think the other big thing as it relates to workforce and probably what some of the participants went through was, how do you reassign some duties? I mean, you don't want to lose people. And so that was really at the forefront of how do we hold on? None of us knew, right? How long is this thing going to last? What's next? And we didn't really understand the science behind COVID at the time. And so that we had to really think about, okay, how can we keep people productive and rotate people on teams coming in, to be safe and all those things. And so a lot of operational thought, a lot of thought about protecting our people as the number one asset.
So you mentioned in there, was a good point regarding how many other businesses, you support through being such a large manufacturer. Regionally, do you guys have any idea what the scale is or how many businesses you support by your operations?
Yeah, that's a terrific question. So we know that it's a multi-billion-dollar impact, and we do have an economic impact study ongoing right now. So I don't know how many businesses, but certainly every hospital, every surgery center throughout Florida, in particular, we impact, we affect in some way because they use our technology. So thousands of facilities here in Florida, and of course all the hospitals we know, Lee Health, Coconut Point, NCH, Physicians Regional, all the surgery centers. So all those folks.
All right, I'm going to move on to D3 and my shower door. Bill,
Right.
What was one of the greatest obstacles brought on by the pandemic? Now, I know manufacturing might be up and down a little bit, but construction's been somewhat steady here.
Yeah, we're fortunate on that. The bigger problem was that with construction steady, and we had a few big contracts for high rises and multifamily units that had to get done. We're a family business, and all of our employees feel like they're family, and we treat them like they're family. So when Governor DeSantis decided to have a shutdown, we were considered essential workers. We didn't have to shut down. We're part of the supply chain, and we're part of the construction industry. However, we went ahead and shut down anyhow. Very, very tough decision to make, but for the well-being of our staff, we've got a lot of young families, young babies, people with existing conditions that we're concerned that we have to go into somebody's home and we could contaminate somebody else. So it was a big decision, but we closed down for the complete month of April and paid everybody to stay home. Whoever could work from home, any office staff, any sales staff, they continued to work with their laptops and cell phones. But as far as all of the installers and all of the manufacturing guys, they all stayed home. We did not lose one employee because they were fully paid. But I will tell you, when we came back in May, the attitude and the culture effect that it had was a huge benefit. I've got guys now that would run through walls where I don't think they would have before that, but they know how much we stood behind them and their families. And it really, really did make a difference. And I think with a lot of entrepreneurs, you have to take these obstacles and turn them into positives. It's how you handle those situations. It was a tough decision to make when you have no income and you got a payroll of 120 going out for 4 weeks. It was a big deal, but we were fortunate to be able to do it. And I think it's going to reap its rewards in the long run.
For sure. No, that's great. Now, what do you see as the forecast coming up for construction in your business? You guys still moving forward? Is everything pretty?
Yeah, actually, we took some time. Some of us on staff and marketing, we came in and rebuilt the website, did a lot of search engine optimization, and got our website out there and really promoted ourselves that way. I see a huge future for us. We just invested another $3 million machine that'll be coming in by the end of, actually be coming in the beginning of 2021. Currently, we only make tempered glass and a limited amount of laminated glass, and you'll see that in the video. But we're investing in a big machine to make production amount of laminated bulletproof glass and electrified, or what they call switchable glass. And
cool.
We see that as a huge future, especially moving into the next 5 years.
Very cool. All right. At this point, JoAnn, I'm going to let you do a brief introduction about your business since you missed the first round of questioning. If you go ahead and unmute yourself. So who are you, what's your business, and why did you select, or why are you in Southwest Florida manufacturing here?
Well, I own Wicked Dolphin Distillery. We're located in Cape Coral. We started operation in 2012. And to be perfectly honest, I was retired from a business over in Eastern and Central Europe, where I worked for 20 years. And I came to Southwest Florida, and I was reading about an investment I had in sugar commodities, and I realized how much sugar was actually being grown here in Florida. 80% of the United States sugar consumption is grown right in our backyard. And after I was having a cocktail at that time, and it was not a great rum, and I said, I think I can do this, and I started to make some rum.
Very cool.
I chose Southwest Florida because, I mean, how could you not? It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, and this is where I landed after 20 years in Eastern Europe.
Great to hear. So through the pandemic, what was one of your largest obstacles? What did you guys face for issues?
Whew, well, we're a rum distillery. Distilling rum and vodka, we're not essential. We maybe we were during COVID, but we didn't mean to be. We became it because we had to switch gear. We received a call from Lee Health, and they were pretty nervous about their supply of hand sanitizer. They just didn't have enough to get them through. And they asked us if we would look into switching gears. And we did. That night, it was a Sunday evening, we got on the phone. We started contacting health professionals all over the world. We wound up with the World Health Organization recipe for a hand sanitizer. And we had rum on the still that night, and we converted it into hand sanitizer. And that's what we did through the whole March, April, May, and parts of June.
Very cool. Appreciate that. The whole community does. Now, is that something you're going to continue producing, or is that a temporary?
Yeah, in fact, we've been speaking with Lee County and the hospital, of course, and we've decided to make an investment, and also so has the county, in helping us out to grow. We are going to make sure that we have tanks that are large enough that we will be able to help produce in case the need arises again. Right now, we support our community very strongly. I think we gave away about 7,000 bottles of hand sanitizer to our community, schools, first responders, and hospitals.
Wow, very cool. I think we're going to need someone in the community to start investing in aloe. My hands are going to need it. Too much hand sanitizer is a bad thing. So at this point, if no one has any intermediate or brief questions for JoAnn, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the video now by My Shower Door, Bill, D3 Glass. It's about an 8-minute video. So Javier, if you can start there, we'll roll the video.
The building was designed by Daubmann in cooperation with Studio AD and Albert Dambrose. We had a press conference on August 22nd, 2016, and we had Governor Rick Scott there to announce the unveiling of the plans and the location for the new factory. The actual groundbreaking started November 28th, 2018. You'll see myself, my wife Donna, Keith, and Doug. And we had our opening ribbon cutting March 10th, 2020.
Welcome to my shower door corporate offices.
And D3 Glass Manufacturing, right here in Southwest Florida.
Come on in.
Here's our front lobby where you'll be greeted by our receptionist. As we go into the order entry segment, you'll be greeted by employees. We have everybody from accounts receivable, accounts payable, HR, and then a pretty good sized training room. We also have our assistant controller, and we have our customer service representatives from My Shower Door. And this is the offices over here where Brandy does our optimization for cutting, and this is all factory offices. Bryce in the white shirt is our general manager. Max and Kyle are our plant supervisors. We get our glass delivered on a low bed truck. The float plant is in North Carolina, so it's domestically made glass. We have a 5-ton crane that will come over and help unload this truck, and we have this very specialized racking system called a Movitro. It's our glass library where we can store different panels and different thicknesses of glass. A whole warehouse with design for safety and obviously good utilization of space. We have an automated system that will retrieve the glass that we need to start making shower doors. We make more than just shower doors. We make office partitions, wine closets, glass railing systems, many things that require tempered safety glass. The racking system is specially designed to go and retrieve the glass. This is a really neat transfer system. The table rolls along a trolley track on the bottom to the particular cutting line that's necessary. It's going to transfer with a series of belts on a conveyor system through the security gate and onto a table. The table itself has many holes in it. It's like an air hockey table, which allows the glass to hover. When we get the glass in place, we turn off the air and it stabilizes it so that it can be cut and scored. The cutting line has a pre-programmed plan of where to cut and score the glass. So that bar comes up and you can see the nice, easy, clean cut. All the trim is now done. The glass is stacked and then will be brought over to the polish lines. For some of the large panels, each operator has a pneumatic set of suction cups. So the glass will be put on the polishers, it'll get ground down. Once it comes off the polishers, it's transferred over onto a wash machine. At this point, some of the glass is completed and ready for tempering, but other glass needs to be manufactured with holes or notches for shower door hardware or whatever hardware is going to hold the particular glass in place. For most of these notches, we use a water jet. These are two holes that you're seeing that are going to accept handles for a shower door. Now, before it can be tempered, the really rough edges from both the hinge notch areas and the holes have to be sanded out. We'll wash it one more time and you'll see the fluorescent lights on the very end of it. That's our inspection. There we're going to look for any chips, scratches, or seeds or flaws in the glass. Now being stacked on our L-buck and getting ready for tempering. There are cases where we have other panels of glass that need special fabrication, and here you see a CNC machine that uses an awful lot of water to keep the tooling cool. D3 Glass also manufactures some laminated glass. Here is where we assemble two pieces of 1/4-inch glass with a layer of EVB, which stands for ethyl vinyl acetate. This is what they call laminated glass. That glass had already been tempered, then it's going to be heated with the laminate inside, and that will give us impact glass. This is our tempering furnace. This is what changes glass from standard glass to safety glass. We've got one of the largest tempering furnaces in North America here. We can do a panel of glass 8 feet wide up to 16 feet long. We stamp our glass as it goes in there so that the building inspectors know that it's been tempered. The glass gets sent through a heating chamber and heats up to anywhere from 600 degrees centigrade up to 1220 degrees Fahrenheit. We test sample pieces to show that it indeed does break into extremely small pieces. In the event that tempered glass breaks, you can sustain minor injuries, but not any severe cuts like you would get from plate glass. One more time for inspection, we unload it after it comes out and is cooled, double check measurements, check it for any square or out of square conditions as it may need, put on protective corners, shrink wrap them tight so they don't fall off during delivery, and get it ready for shipment. D3 has 3 of our shipping trucks, and we ship glass from Marco Island across the alley to Miami, up to Orlando. Just last week we sent a truck up to Cape Canaveral to the Kennedy Space Center, and we're doing auto dealerships as far north as Jacksonville. Now, my shower door is the #1 customer to D3 Glass. My shower door has 10 installation crews that go out daily and install shower doors from Marco through Punta Gorda. And then our Sarasota store has 2 crews, Tampa has 4 crews, Orlando has 2 crews. So we're covering that bed all the way through Orlando, and we'll be opening in Boca Raton in November of 2020. You'll probably see this building as you fly into RSW Airport, as we're on the northern side of the flight path. Outside, you'll see the My Shower Door trucks lined up for installation. And there is the 60,000 square foot facility built by Christel Construction in 2019. Every weekday morning, My Shower Door sends out 10 crews, and we are very, very proud that not only is the raw glass made in the United States, but all of the manufacturing is done right here in our Fort Myers plant. I hope you enjoyed this tour. It's been a pleasure making this video for you, and I hope it was insightful and helpful for you. Thank you.
All right, that was excellent video, Bill. You guys have some great video capabilities.
Thanks.
So if there's any questions at this time for Bill, D3 Glass, My Shower Door. So you've got a pretty complex production line there, Bill. What type of hires do you typically make to run this? What is your?
Depending on what operation we need, on the D3 side, the skills that we need are attitude, dependability. We can teach everything in-house. We have our own training facility. Obviously, if we can get CNC operators or people with good computer skills, that's a plus. But as far as manual labor, we've tried to make it where they don't have to carry much. I know part of that video, a guy was carrying it at the end of the furnace to an inspection table, but almost every other operation has a crane available to lift that glass. So
Perfect.
Just good attitude and want to work, but we give full benefits, 401k, paid vacation, and holiday benefits. On the shower door side, we just want good, dependable people, and we have in-house training there as well.
So I'll reiterate one of the questions that was asked towards Arthrex. Do you give tours? If anyone on the panel or anyone that wants to?
Absolutely, Jeff. We've been trying to get you here for a long time. So
I'm trying.
Unfortunately, you had a baby.
I've been to your facility for training, and I've been to Arthrex, and they were both great plants. JoAnn, I may have been to yours, but I guess I don't remember if that was the case.
And JoAnn, thank you. We got our hand sanitizer from you when we were in a pinch. And thank you.
That's
All right.
perfect.
Thank you, Bill. That was great. Anything you want to add to the presentation I have? Let's see if I have a question here. Very impressive. Great. I've got a QA question. 1 second. So how much of your supply chain is within the region? And then what is your annual economic impact, Bill, on the regional?
So of our supply, when you say our supply chain, everything that we bring in, so our glass is coming from North Carolina. I would say that's a little bit out of our region. Our metal extrusions are coming out from Salt Lake City. Again, they're domestic, but they're not local. The glazing supply companies out of Miami. So very little things do we get locally other than our paper supplies, tape, job supplies for installation, and then any of the bearings for the machines and electrical supplies we buy locally. The machines are made in Italy. Most of the machines are, and some of them are very specific to European standards, so we can't buy them locally. Our economic impact to the community is really hard to judge. I guess I don't have a good number on that, Dave. Between 100 and some odd employees and their families, I can't even put a number on it and be realistic. I'd like to be able to answer that, but I really can't.
All right, so I think at this point, what we'll do is we're going to go to the third question. We'll do each panelist in a row, and then we'll go on to JoAnn's presentation or video. So how did your company pivot? And we'll start with Arthrex, Jimmy and Mike. How did you pivot to stay relevant or respond to urgent needs during the pandemic? I know this was kind of hashed out a little bit, but if you can go into maybe some specifics. I know we've got alcohol being made by JoAnn, but Jimmy, what did you guys do? Michael, what did you guys do? I did hear something about this, so I know you did something.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. And JoAnn, I consider rum essential, so I don't know, these politicians got it wrong. So, you know, I'm with you on that. So appreciate your business here as well. You know, so, you know, part of it I did answer, but I'll give you maybe a little more concrete answer. I mean, the big thing for us was preparing for what was going to be the surge in surgeries because they canceled surgeries for a little while, for about 6 days across the country. Then all of a sudden you had, you know, 10, 15, 25, 30 states reopen with parameters in place, all this other stuff. So one of the ways we had to pivot, in addition to the virtual education that I talked about, was making sure that our sales force, which we call agencies or distributors that are out around the country in 48 different locations, making sure they had the inventory they need for the surge in surgical volume that was coming. And it did come in June and July and August because of you know, patients in pain, people that are suffering couldn't hold off, you know, much longer. And so so that was a big deal for us, making sure that we had inventory planted locally. So it became really more of a logistics supply chain strategy for us, and that was successful. We saw some record volume after we took massive hits, you know, in the early months of this pandemic. So we were not unaffected. We were absolutely affected. We weren't immune to it, but and since then we've gotten really back up to 80+% of previous year capacity at the moment. We're certainly concerned as we see some rises, but the good news is, you know, the severity of illness is down, length of stay in hospitals has dropped, mortality rates are down. So all those things being considered, you know, we're not as focused on the rise in cases out there. So we're sticking to the plan, making sure we got inventory ready to go. Because I will tell you that a lot of our competitors have travel bans on their folks. So in many places, we're the only ones showing up in the rooms and our competitors aren't there. So we're actually looking at that as a tactical advantage here now to, you know, go after more. So Mike, anything to add to that portion?
One of the things that I appreciate about Arthrex is the fact that one of the biggest things when this pandemic started was that there was a huge effort on keeping all the employees safe. And I think with that being said, it helped us to keep all manufacturing going and everything of that sort. So there's a lot of protocol that's in place that helps protect the employees, as well as having our own medical centers on site.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Bill, same question to you. How did you guys pivot? What did you do to stay relevant during the times? I know we were booming anyway in the construction industry, but Was there anything you did outside the norm?
Yeah, we did a few things. First of all, we started making COVID protectors. I noticed that Publix and Costco all had the plexiglass protectors between cashiers and the public, but we felt that those were going to be a short-term fix, and we developed glass and hardware that we could use to make permanent protection. Lee County needed a lot of those at the tax assessor's office, planning offices, where the public would come in with their blueprints and meet face to face with some kind of counselor from the county. So they had us install, 3/8 or 1/2-inch glass protectors between or over those desks. And then Collier County had us do 5 buildings down there. So I had special crews come in on off hours when the building was vacant, and we installed the glass protectors there. We also developed another product while we had some downtime and we were working on our machines, and we started developing glass chair mats, which sounds kind of weird, but we have the glass and we have the availability. And I had seen other vendors doing it across the country. And instead of having one of those plastic mats that you buy at Costco to put under your chair at your home office or desk, you can now do it with glass, and it doesn't crack or chip, and it looks really good. We made them for our office staff, and I probably sold about 30 of them in the meantime, and we're ramping up marketing kits for that. The other thing is we used the time for strategic planning for our business. I think we were the first company to open in Cape Coral since COVID. We opened up a new showroom there on Santa Barbara and Veterans, and we did all our planning for Boca Raton, and we're finishing the build out next week, and we'll be able to open first week of November. So we use that time to continue to grow the business.
Very cool.
I think we found when people were staying home in quarantine, they took a lot more showers and had a chance to assess the current shower that they had and wanted to make some renovations. And we see calls coming in daily. Now that the tile is completed and they finally got a contractor to do it, that they need the glass. So, I mean, whatever was put on pause in April is making up for it in these months coming to the end of the year.
Very cool. Are you seeing companies still pivot to do some kind of a protective barrier long term?
I think everybody in the glass business has been, and I hate to say, unfortunately, in some of the bigger cities, there's been a real drain on the glass supply, as you see a lot of looting and vandalism happen in the big cities, but glass was one of the first things to go. And those guys there can't get enough glass. And even I buy from Pilkington out of North Carolina. They're constantly sending trucks up to those cities with replacement glass.
Interesting. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, you're welcome.
JoAnn, I know you can unmute yourself just to make sure you're aware, but yeah, what did your company do? I know you mentioned you did the hand sanitizer. What did you guys do to pivot to stay relevant and respond during this time?
Well, 50% of more than 50, 60% of our business was completely cut off. Restaurants, bars, we knew that we were going to be in trouble because of that. Everybody was closed down. And, the hand sanitizer came up exactly at the same time, maybe even before that. And so we were able to pivot into that. We had a very large problem, though, when we started producing the hand sanitizer, is we couldn't get any containers. I don't know if you can imagine this, but there were no containers to be found anywhere. We couldn't fill the hospital containers because spray pumps weren't available. Everything was coming out of China or everything was coming out of Mexico, and the borders were pretty much closing down. So our staff, we worked with Lee Health, and we actually went onto the hospital grounds and we pulled all the bottles that they had. We brought them back into our distillery outside, sprayed everything down with hand sanitizer first, again, second time, brought it into our facility, sprayed it again, and we started refilling those. So we needed more manpower for that. So we actually wound up bringing in a couple more staff. We don't have a large staff, but we wound up bringing in about 4 or 5 more people to help with that job. Believe it or not, during the pandemic and still today, we're up about 35% in our rum and vodka business. So all of this kind of snowballed into an effect that we added more shifts, and we're working a lot harder right now. We are definitely making sure that we have stores of hand sanitizer available for future. and just working to fill demand. So it's been a real eye opener and a change for our business.
Very cool. Thank you for that. So I know I've been to a couple distilleries before, maybe once or twice, but isn't there a byproduct from the alcohol distillation product anyway? So are you using that byproduct, or is there one to continue making sanitizer at the same time you're making alcohol?
No, a byproduct is the waste. There is no real byproduct in distilling. Larger distilleries put that back into their bottle. That's why they're able to offer a lower priced alcohol. But we basically toss that. We use it for cleaning within our facility, but no byproduct for us.
All right, just checking. All right, I think at this point, what I'll do is I'll ask the last question, and then we'll go into your video, JoAnn. So what advice, again, starting with Arthrex and going in the same order, what advice can you offer to other manufacturers in the area, just, I guess, regionally, you know, how to handle a pandemic, how to secure your supply chain during a time like this? You can pick and choose what part of the answer you want. What's your general advice to other manufacturers here locally?
Yeah, I'll take first pass at this, Mike and Jeff. You know, it really is about the people. So as Mike said, you know, protect your staff, you know, take precautions and all of that. But, you know, a big piece of advice really is continue to develop the relationships locally, whether it's, you know, with technical schools or the other schools and colleges. You know, nothing's more important than developing that workforce, getting to them early, and trying to keep them in Southwest Florida here and in our beautiful area that we live in. And so, you know, with the pandemic in particular, it's really, as Bill said in the beginning, it's about leadership, it's about communication. So be crystal clear, you know, and be honest with everyone, and try to take care of the people as best you can. And they will look at that leadership, and that will build loyalty. And so really, you know, for us, it was focused on that. It was, you know, having great communication, doing the best we could with that, taking precautions, investing in other technologies and things to reduce microbial counts on surfaces and in the air and things like that. So we took, you know, what precautions that we could. But lastly, you know, from my perspective, it's about narrowing down, you know, maybe your supplier list, getting really strategic partners at that point, because sometimes, you know, you can have too many suppliers and try to, you know, pin them up against each other in bidding wars. But at the end of the day, I think what we learned was have a handful of really good strategic partners you can trust, you can rely on, and then just move forward. So, Mike, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. You know, as far as supporting local businesses and that, and if anybody's really interested, the SRMA can be like a feeder for all the local businesses around.
Yep. Thanks, Mike. All right. Same question to Bill. What advice would you give other manufacturers having been through this, you know, regionally?
Well, Jimmy hit the biggest topic, and that was leadership. You know, I went out and created a video that we sent out to every single employee as a mass email of what the company was going to do, how we were going to handle it. Nobody was left in the dark. I gave them all my cell phone. They could either text or call me if they had any questions of if we were going to pay for them to go get tested, when they'd come back to work, what was expected of them, what was expected of the company to keep them safe. We did everything we could there. And to talk to Jimmy's point, it was so important for our supply chain. But, you know, a lot of these people that are watching this webcast, there's a good lesson to be learned here. We found that we were able to get glass when we needed it to, for the big reason that we're really good on paying our bills. And when the manufacturers were short and making a decision on who they were shipping to, the people that paid their bills were getting the glass pushed to the top of the list for deliveries. And it's a really important thing to keep an eye on your payables. That's one really good way of making good relations with your suppliers and your vendors, is you pay your bills, and then when you really need something, they're there for you. And that's a very practical tip for, boy, all small business owners.
It's a great point.
So that's about it.
That's a great point. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
All right, JoAnn, What advice would you give any manufacturers in the region?
I would just say leadership is key. You know, Jimmy was right. Leadership is key. Everybody needs to know that you can handle it and that you're going to come through. We had no worries where we were. We knew right away. We reached out to, you know, Lee Health. We reached out to our first responders, our police department, and our county, and said, "We're here. Can we help you? How can we do this?" And we went working pretty much full time for everybody, and they knew that we would not stop until we actually had the product and had enough in their hands. So I think that you really need to take care of your team when something like this happens, and they will follow you and they will work hard. And I give credit to everybody we have. I mean, they really pulled it out. Well, most people were home and sitting at home for months. My team was working 12 hours a day. So thank you for them. And I would say working with your local government and having associations like this that you can actually reach out and get some advice from. That's key. It's key in keeping you strong.
Thank you. All right. At this point, Javier, if you can move over, let's do the video from JoAnn and Wicked Dolphin and finish this up.
Great job, Javier.
Hi everybody, my name is JoAnn Elardo and I'm here with our assistant distiller Paul Contrell, and we're going to tell you a little bit about Wicked Dolphin. Wicked Dolphin is a distillery located in Cape Coral, Florida. We actually make rum and we also make vodka, award-winning. But during March we got a call to produce something a little different. Got a call to produce some hand sanitizer for Lee County Health, first responders, and for the school district of Lee County. In March, I got a call in the middle of the night from Lee County Health saying we're in a little bit of trouble. We can't really get supplies of hand sanitizer and hand surface cleaner. Can you help us out? So we did a lot of research, and our distillers came up with the recipe from the World Health Organization. We put it together very quick, and we got it done. And here's Paul. He's going to tell us a little bit about how we did that. Paul?
So making rum and hand sanitizer is not a whole lot different. We take the same equipment, the same great ingredients we use, and then we just focus more on the efficiency and how much alcohol we can produce in as quick amount of time as possible. Here's our kettle. We're going to take our same great sugar we used to make our rum, toss it in the kettle. We get to focus a little less on the quality and the flavor of the product and more about the efficiency of fermentation, which is over here. Once it's all cooked up, moves into one of our fermenters. We add a wild and crazy yeast in there to get as much alcohol as we can in as short a time as possible. Once we're done in fermentation, it transfers into our still. She's a custom-made 750-gallon still. She's made by a company called Bendo. Fermenter will be stripped or single distilled to remove the solids we don't need, and then at the end of the week we'll take all this alcohol and distill it 8 more times. It's going to run through our pot and all 7 chambers of our column still before it gets chilled and comes out of the fountain in the front at somewhere between 175 and 180 proof.
So in the middle of all this, and we've learned how to make hand sanitizer and surface cleaner. How are we going to fill it now? How are we going to fill those containers? You know, we can't run it right through our regular bottling line because it's such a high proof that the explosion factor was just through the charts. So we had to come up with an innovative and a very fast way. I mean, we were talking within 2 days to come up with a way to fill all these bottles. And who got it? Our distiller, Matt, came up with an idea of let's use
beer taps. Matt and I are both homebrew nerds, so we were able to take some beer equipment we had, get the proper tubing that has the right lining for high-proof alcohol, and you build what's called a central line filler, right? One feed line comes into a 500-gallon tank of hand sanitizer through a pump, and then your tap lines basically give you hand sanitizer on tap, so that we can fill anything from spray bottles, gallon-sized bottles, even 2-ounce bottles.
Well, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I hope that you'll come down and visit us. We have free tours all the time, free tours and tastings. And if you ever see us out and about, please ask for our Wicked Dolphin. It supports our great team here, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us.
It's not pretty, but it is what it is.
That was a great video. Thank you, JoAnn. No, you don't think about the explosion proof. That's a pretty big cause, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. And as I say, the team that I had to work with were wonderful. And if you couldn't even imagine how many bottles and gallons we were pumping out a day, but we got it done. Yeah.
What's your address, JoAnn? Where do you guys reside within Cape Coral?
We are right off of Pine Island Road. We're at 131 Southwest 3rd Place.
Southwest 3rd Place. And then who do you supply? Where do you sell your product?
Well, we're R&DC, which is I think 1 or 2 distributor in the United States, is our distributor for alcohol. So we're at all Total Wines,
Yep.
ABCs, liquor stores. We are at a lot of the Walmarts, some of the Sam's Clubs, most. We've got great support from the local stores and retailers around, and bars and restaurants. You'll find us out in that. We've won USA Today #1 craft rum distillery for about 4 years in a row. That was phenomenal. We're small, but we're doing okay.
There's a great way to support your local community. Go drink some rum and some vodka.
Well, Jeff,
right.
I plan on drinking some rum and ordering a shower door. So
There you go. We'll get the trifecta during surgery.
Jimmy, I don't plan on hurting it myself, so I may not need your surgery services.
I don't wish surgery on anybody, but I do wish rum and shower doors on people.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to thank all our panelists. If there's any questions at this point, please add them to the Q&A chat, or else we're going to wrap up here. So I'd like to thank everyone that showed up today, anyone that's a panelist. We appreciate your time. We know it's very busy right now. It's tough anytime to get an hour and a half. But we think it's important to showcase what we have here in Southwest Florida, to give a perspective on, large and small, any type of business we have, specifically manufacturing for this month. So if anyone that's listening to the call or anyone that's on this webinar is interested, you can join the SRMA at www.srma.net. We try to do a monthly roundtable like this, right now virtual, but in the beginning of the new year, we want to see if it's potentially advisable to do it in person. We have resources for everyone locally. We like to connect businesses, and this is kind of what we try to do, is bring manufacturers together, reinforce local supply chains, and really create a regional manufacturing group for everyone. So if you have any questions or you have follow-up questions for any of the panelists, you can email the SRMA group and we can distribute those questions. Our email is info@srma.net. And we encourage you, like I mentioned, send in how you thrived or how you had issue during the pandemic as well too. So the more information as an organization that we have, the better we can suit your needs, whether it's local tools, interface with government, manufacturing resources. That's why we're here. So if you have questions or you have needs, now is the perfect time to submit them to us, and we'll work as hard as we can to get those available to everyone. Besides that, again, thank you all for coming. Thank you again. Subscribe to our email, our website, if you want to be part of our mailer or our flag. Let's see. What additional supplier resources? We got one last minute. Thanks, Dave. What additional resource or supplier resources would you like to see within the region? So what are you outsourcing currently that you would maybe like to have a little closer to home? And we'll go in the same order again. So Jimmy and Mike, what would be the top resource you'd like to have here locally?
Yeah, I'm going to punt the mic on that. Dave, you got me twice, so I owe you 2 follow-ups. Mike, do you have an answer for that?
Additional supplier resources. Actually, for us, our biggest thing is we're constantly looking for qualified personnel, and that's where the education always comes in. As far as actual product and that, I don't have an answer for that. Sorry.
So workforce development, tools, manufacturing expertise, basically building the region as a manufacturing hub. Bill, same question. What resources would you like down here?
Well, for the last few items that we need for my shower door that we have made specifically for us offshore, I'd love to get them back into the States, but I can't find myself a good hardware manufacturer that we can get at a good price with the quality that we want. So Dave, I'd be looking for someone that can make our hinges and our handles for our top quality shower doors. We have all the specs on it. We have all the rights to use that hardware. Also, we need a good anodizing plant locally, plating and polishing for that. That would give me a backup. So in case ports get shut down again, I can get it ground transportation, or we'll even go get it. So I certainly would like to see a good hardware manufacturer locally.
Hope everyone's taking notes. JoAnn?
Well, the only thing I can really think of, we do a lot of displays, and we do a lot of cardboard and boxes. It'd be great to get somebody a little bit closer. We work with some manufacturers over in Miami, and then we work in Georgia most of the time. So that would be something that would be great. Somebody on this coast. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate the panelists again and all your input. It means a lot to the whole community. We want to keep growing manufacturing here. It's very important now, as you can see, to diversify what we have for industry in this area. We're known for construction and maybe some vacation, but would also like to be known for, anything else, manufacturing being one of them. So thanks again. Anyone that has questions past this point, info@srma.net. Please email us or call us at 239-258-1385. We're also looking for members and petite sponsorship for any of these events.
Hey, Jeff,
thanks everyone. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Jeff, before we leave, I'd like to take a time to think about Connie Williams, who is recovering from COVID. She was hospitalized. She was having a hard time with it. Actually, her whole family got it. So best wishes, and thank you for putting this all together, Connie.
Thanks, Bill. Same here, Connie. We miss you. You would have been part of this, but we'll hopefully move on. Everyone stay safe out there. Thanks again, panelists, anyone that's viewing this webinar. Join us for our next event. Thanks, everyone.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Jeff.
day.